Hello everybody, I'm Hannah and I'm going to be taking you step by step in this little tutorial of how to draw an eye with colored pencil. So we are going to be practicing some basic gesture and contour drawing with sketching out our eye first, very lightly, and then we're going to be practicing some colored pencil blending techniques. If you notice, I've got some colored pencils here and also some colored pencils here as well. I have just Prismacolor, and this is the Blick brand colored pencil, but whatever you have will do just fine. And if you notice, we are starting with some gray colored paper in contrast to my white sketchbook here. So with drawing an eye, we are going to see that it is going to pop a lot if we're using a different colored paper. So this is going to be our photo reference right here for us. So we see that they're using some sort of toned paper, whether that's gray or brown or tan, in order for the whites of the eyes to really pop. So if you just have regular white sketchbook paper, that is fine. But keep in mind, if you do use a toned paper like this, it's really nice for drawing things that have lots of white in them, because with our white colored pencil, we can really use that to our advantage. Okay, so we will need a couple of things to get started here. So we're going to need definitely a white colored pencil for the whites of the eyes, some probably flesh tones, some browns and some tans, and some creams for that peachy color for our outside of our eye, whatever skin tone we are drawing. So might need a couple of those. And then obviously whatever color eye you would like to draw in those same colors as well. You'll notice that we're using a reference of a blue eye for this, just because I think that colored eyes, blue, greens, hazels, along those lines are really, really fun to draw because there's so much color in them, more color variety. And if you or if someone you know has blue or hazel eyes, when you look up really close, there's a lot of tiny little colors that you can notice even just within a regular blue eye. So I might want to have just like a classic light blue to start with, but also probably some greens, because I feel like a lot of people with blue eyes have that sort of green tone to them as well. So having a few different shades of that color that you're working with will be really nice for using the colored pencils to blend with. If you are doing like a hazel eye, I would definitely do more colors that have that kind of like tortoisey kind of color scheme to them. So you don't only want green or like an olive green, like these sort of colors for a hazel eye, but you're definitely gonna want to pull in some of those warm yellow tones and some browns. Like, look how pretty those are already. And some different types of values in them too. I don't have all of these sharpened, but that would be a super, super beautiful hazel eye in these colors I sort of have here. So if you're working with colored pencils, obviously you can get so many different colors, but even if you have a really simple set like this is a set of 24 pencils. I just pulled a few out, so they're missing a couple in the tin here. But the great thing is that we can use different blending techniques in order to get some different shades of colors. So some students in my class in Elements of Art, those of you who are watching, we did this exercise the other day where we were practicing picking a few different colors, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and blending them in a gradient together so that when you get these in-betweens, they sort of create that different color there. So we're starting this one with this like periwinkle color and this magenta, but when we blend the periwinkle and magenta together, we get this sort of like lavender color, which is really nice. So even if you have only a couple colors to work with in your set of colored pencils, you can lightly blend them together to create lots of different types of color. So we are going to do that with our eye. So make sure you gather those things. Lastly, we might use this at the end. This is a paint marker in white. You could also use a white gel pen. I don't know if I have a white gel pen. I don't think I do. But we might use those at the end to get these really nice highlights in the eye here, where we see that in the corner where it's very reflective and it looks wet and shiny on that inside. So that's going to go on top of the colored pencil at the end. So if you have that, try that, gather that as well. So let's get started here. I am going to start with a colored pencil and not a regular pencil, not one of these, because your pencil lines are going to show through. Because this is using graphite, it's naturally very shiny. So that material, if you don't erase it, sometimes it doesn't really cover very well. So I like to do all my sketches very lightly with colored pencil first, and then if you make a mistake, you can always blend it out and cover it up later much more easily. So remembering to start sketching very lightly. I'm going to make this pretty big, actually. So I'm going to start very lightly sketching this upper eyelid slope. And it's going to have a nice curve to it. Mine's going to end up being very open, I think. And then this is going to be the inner this inner section of the eye here, so you're going to kind of bump that out a little bit for that part. Make sure that's bumped out. And now we are going to mirror this curve underneath here for this lower lid. Keeping it nice and light and sketchy. Bring that up here to the corner. There we've got our basic eye shape. Next, we're going to sketch out this upper eyelid, kind of coming up over this almond eye shape. And then next, we're going to draw the water line, which is that tiny little line that follows this curve that's going to be underneath the eye. So this water line, we're just going to make it really thin, but it's going to follow parallel to this line that we already drew, and then connect out to this other side. Okay, here we go. And remember, when we're doing our eyelashes on below here, they're going to connect to this bottom line here on the outer side of this water line, not the inner one. It's going to be the outer one. So we'll get there in a second, but I wanted to sketch this in brown because we're going to be blending out our skin from here, and this brown or a peach color will lend itself a little bit better to skin tone. So from here, I'm going to put down my brown pencil. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up my white pencil to just sketch this inner part here where the eyeball stops and this pink stuff, this tear duct area in the corner starts. So see, even just sketching really lightly with that white colored pencil on the gray paper really makes it pop. So I'm excited to see how this works. Okay, so a couple of options of what you could do now. We could go ahead and start on the iris, actually. The order that you do things after you kind of sketch them out is up to you. I would start with the iris, or maybe the skin on this outside, kind of building up your layers, but that's how we want to kind of think about them. We want to think about our colored pencils as building things up in layers, but we are not going to be coloring in very hard at all. So when we're building up our layers, we want to keep it having a pretty gentle pressure on the paper, because colored pencils are pretty waxy, and we don't want to saturate the surface of the paper with too much of that waxy substance with just one color, or else it's not going to be enough room for the other colors to be blended together. So I'm going to do a layer of this peach just to kind of lay out some color here on the paper. So you notice that I am drawing directionally, going with the shape of the curves that I just drew. So I'm not blending back and forth like this. My pencil is going in that same curved direction, and that is going to help give our drawing a little bit more form. Form means that 3D nature of something. Okay, on the paper, the gray paper, you can't see that as well. I might keep the brown for some shadows here, just to kind of lace them out. But the more little layers that you do like this, I think that it'll kind of help you in the long run with blending your colors. So you see, I'm still keeping it very, very light. I'm not pressing down very hard at all. I might go back over some of these lines that I already made, but keeping it pretty light. Okay, now that I've gotten some down already, I think I want like this light peachy, pinky color for the inside of the eye. Oh, this is really bright. That is okay. Because some of the pencils that you'll have in like a 24 pack here, you might just have some really bright colors to work with. Because if we notice here in our example, there's not too much bright pink. So maybe we want to go more red. And for the general rule for shading, you want to keep darker colors near the edge of things, or it's going to be underneath things, because those darker colors signify where the shadows are. Okay, so it's also going to help give us a little bit of form. Oh, see, that red looks way better. Okay, we are ready for the iris now. I am going to sketch out the, well, my blues are over here. I'm going to pick a lighter one. I'm gonna do this one. It is a true blue. Look at that. I'm gonna sketch out the shape of the iris. And it's going to be pretty large in comparison to the shape of the eye in general. And you can look in a mirror if you'd like at your own eye to gain some perspective with how your proportions should look. And your iris and your pupil should be perfect circles as much as you can. So what we're going to do is do this technique called dropping in, where we're going to drop in our circle by first moving our hand in the motion in a circular motion, right? And it's going to be pointing your pencil in this size of the circle that you want. And this is going to help your hand and your body feel the circle before you place it down on the paper, because perfect circles are really hard to draw. But if you're moving it in a natural circle to begin with, it might be easier. You could go back and forth like this too. Might be easier to drop in. So I'm going to actually do this. Ooh, see, look at that. And keeping my arm and my wrist and my hand in that perpetual circular motion, you could also kind of go like this. It's going to give us maybe a more natural circle shape than if we went and carefully drew it out just like this, right? So that did not take us very long at all. Now we can kind of refine our edges a little bit where we want to round out certain areas or make it darker. But we do not want to put the whole circle. You see how I just did part of it where the eyelid is cutting it off? That's going to make the eye look a little bit more natural. Because if you add the iris in like the full circle right in the middle, your eye is going to look like a crazy person. We don't necessarily need that. Okay, so now with dropping in, we already kind of got some shading going. Look at that. And we want the outer ring of our iris to be darker in general. A lot of people have this ring, this dark ring around their irises. And that is a hereditary trait. And now I'm just going to place my pupil I'm gonna go ahead and just place my pupil where I want it. It should be right in the center. So imagine this blue iris going a little bit past and imagining that as a full circle. We want the pupil to be right in the middle, or else it's gonna look funky, okay? So it's gonna be probably right around here, I'm guessing. And I'm not gonna color it in yet. Do not color it in yet. Do not color it in yet. Keep this like that. Because we might want to put a couple of highlights here. We want to get some of the iris going first. Okay, a couple of things to note about the iris in general. This is the colored part of the eye. You're going to have lines that go out like this. But you're also going to follow the circle as it is going like this. It's very radial, okay? So the direction of our pencil is going to be really important when we're shading in these colors, to be going both this way and this way, because it's following the shape, this circular shape of the eye, but also radiating out from the middle, okay? So we see that there's a couple areas that are a little bit darker, a little bit lighter. If you're drawing a specific person's eye, look at those little details, but for the most part, we can just kind of have fun of where we place those things. So I would have your little collection of colored pencils here next to you, of the ones that maybe you're going to use in your iris, so you can just pick it right up and go back and forth between these, because that's what we want to do. So this is the same blue that I was using. I'm going to go ahead and just put in some basic lines, because that is going to be the direction that I'm going to be shading. So maybe I'll do some of these, keeping it really light. You want probably all of your pencils to have this same exact pressure, no matter what color you're using, right? In order to blend all of these together. So maybe since this is a darker one, maybe I want to come and bring in some green on the outsides here. We'll do like a bluish green eye. Some of those. This one is like a seafoam green, so this is really bright. It's going to pop a lot. I think I'll just do there. So you can also just put your pencils just in certain spots. You see, like I just did the seafoam green over here, but this is really pretty, like bluish green. So I'm gonna use this for the majority, I think. Very pretty. Definitely keeping it a little bit darker on the outskirts. And I think going back and forth between your light colors and your darker colors could be a good technique for you. That's what I'm kind of doing. So I feel like this blue is a little bit darker, especially than this blue that I was just using. But you kind of notice that I'm going back and forth from like shading in to then making some zigzaggy lines for some of the details. So when I'm sketching, I do like to go back and forth. Ooh. Now up here, you're going to follow. Ooh, I accidentally got some blue on the eyelid. You're going to follow the eyelid of where it cuts off, just like that. There is going to be, if you notice here, that's this area, that this area is darker, and that is because the eyelashes come out from the eye, so there's going to be some shadowing that happens on your eyeball right above, right below your eyelashes right there. So you could go ahead and do that with your darker color. With the blue, and go ahead and kind of shade this area here to be a little bit darker. That's also going to help with the form of your eye. and help it look a little more natural. So you're just gonna keep going back and forth from your different colored pencils. Maybe I want to bring this dark green back to put in, ooh yeah, to put in some of the shadows up top. Maybe bring that color back down here. All right, I think I need to bring more blue into this eye. I'm going a little overboard with the green. So, ooh, this is cobalt. That's going to be a nice dark blue. Let's see here. It's going to be kind of purpley actually. Might go with ultramarine or like another dark blue instead actually. But, I mean, the cool thing is about drawing, like, you don't have to draw, like, realistic eye colors if you don't want to. You could draw a purple eye, you could draw a pink eye. But I'm kind of going back and forth to a lot of the inner parts of the eye versus the outer parts, and kind of enhancing the darkness on the outskirts of the eye, maybe keeping this inner part a little lighter. You can press down a little bit harder in those shadowed areas. Keep the roundness of this eye as much as possible. All right. Since we are going to use the paint pen for some of these highlights, you don't necessarily have to keep an area of your pupil or your iris blank, because we want that white to really pop. So I think I am going to color in my pupil. That might make it look a little bit more realistic. You see how I'm coloring in this in circles? I'm using this curved direction of my shading. You always want to pay attention to the direction that your pencil is going in, because that is going to affect how the form looks. So I press down pretty hard in the middle here, and this is giving me a really nice deep black because I'm using Prismacolor, and the Prismacolor colored pencils are a little bit softer than like a Crayola or something like that, so it gives you really nice creamy colors. So with this, with the black, I might even want to come in some of the lines that I already made and maybe just beef them up a little bit. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to continue filling this in here. Coming back with this really pretty, and you can layer over, so I'm kind of layering this light blue over the dark blue, and it is like blending a little bit, a little more smoothly. So you can try some of that as well if you want a creamier look. So I'm kind of going back and forth here. Whoop. I want to bring some, but I will warn you that the harder you push and the creamier your colors look on top of the paper, the more difficult it is to blend too much on them. So we'll just see. So now that I blended, I kind of want to come back with some more of these line work details with this darker color. But don't be afraid to take some chances. Art is about taking risks, kind of getting out of your comfort zone and trying things that maybe you don't know if they're gonna work out or not. So this one, let's see. Bring in a little bit of brown. See what that does. I don't know if that's just gonna muddy it or give it some interesting pops there. Oh, maybe. Maybe give it a little bit of interest. Bring back some of this green. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Bring in some of the green, make that lighter color pop a little bit. And I'm trying to pick areas where you still kind of see that speckling happening, because you know that there's more paper there underneath. I'm gonna add some highlights a little bit later with my paint pen, or you could use a white gel pen as well. You can really press your white colored pencil into this, really like press it in there. Like, you've saturated the surface of your paper so much at this point, blending all these different colors on top of each other, that you can like really press it in to get some more of this white on there. It's going to make it look much creamier and a little bit brighter too. But now we get to color in. Oh, make sure that that is clean with your white. You don't want to transfer blue or whatever other color you're using onto the whites of your eyes. So you can just color it on a scrap piece of paper, just like you can do with a eraser, to make sure that that is clean. So what we're gonna do, make sure to go with the direction that the eye is already rounded. So you want to make sure that you are coloring in that rounded direction, just in case you see your pencil lines later. Because your eyeball is a ball. It's called an eyeball for a reason, right? So we want to make sure we do that. And look how that white really pops off of this gray paper. So if you get like a pastel paper, or this, actually I have a roll of it This is recycled gray toned paper from, oh gosh, I think it might be Strathmore brand. You can get this in like a spiral bound or a bound sketchbook. You can get this in gray and in tan. Or you could be crazy like me and get a whole giant roll of it that then you can just rip off for different projects. Okay, so we have our base of our white eye, but we want to add some dimension to it. So I'm actually going to use a gray. I'm not going to use my black. I'm going to use my gray. And remember, we wanted to add some shadows on the top section. Maybe feather that out a little bit. You could also add some shadows near the corners of the eye as well, here and here, because that's going to be, you know, it's nestled in the corner, so it's going to have more shadows there. And also near the eyelids. And using a gray on top of the white, it should blend fairly easily with this lighter color. But definitely keep it light. You can use the gray and the white back and forth to kind of blend those together really nicely. But the areas that it's going to be really close to the iris, you can color in with the white pretty firmly. Oh, see, look at that. So nice, so nice. Back and forth. Okay, awesome. If you want to get real technical, you can use your red again. I would make sure that the tip is very, very pointed. Make sure it's really sharpened, and you can do like really light little squiggle lines like that for the veins in your eyes, and use them like little tree branches. I would do them kind of coming out from like the edges towards the middle, branch them off just like a little bit. I wouldn't do too many. Don't go overboard with these, or else it's going to look bloodshot. We don't want it to look bloodshot, but just add a couple where you can see the veins in the eyes, and that's going to add a really nice little detail to your drawing. Now that I have the red in my hand, maybe I'll come back and do a little bit more in here. Okay. I want to bring my pink back out. Blend that with the red a little bit. I don't want to make this look too prominent. Maybe add my white in here. Kind of blend that out a little bit. There we go. Looks pretty good. Okay, and if you have some color getting on the tip of your white pencil, make sure to just scribble it on a scrap piece of paper so that it comes away clean. Next, you can just continue to add a little bit more to your eyelids if you want. I'm not gonna flesh this out too much. Didn't mean to do that. That was kind of a pun there. Because I kind of want to just focus on the eye. But you can also like get kind of creative. Like whenever I would draw eyes in high school, I would always do like maybe like a little like cat eye here. You can do that. That's kind of fun. Maybe I'll color that in later. Little wing. A little bit of eyeliner. But you do want to make sure that whatever you want to do with the skin, you do that first before you do the eyelashes. So these are some really nice, pretty eyelashes here, but we want to make sure that the skin is done first because we're putting the eyelashes on top. You don't want to work around the eyelashes to draw your skin in. You don't want to have to do that. This is actually like a mauve. It's called Clay Rose, but it's kind of a weird, like pinkish purple color to add to the eye. I don't know. See, we just kind of gotta experiment sometimes. I'm going back and forth from some of these browns. That might be all I do for the eye now on the skin. So if we're noticing in our little reference here, there's a lot of little lines. It's not just one line. We want to see some different individual hairs here. But first we want to just pay attention to the direction of the lines because they're following the roundness of the eye. So on this side, it's going to be facing towards the left. You're going to start where they grow and then sort of whoosh your pencil out like this when you're drawing them in that same direction. So if you have a photo reference like this, you could even practice on a scrap piece of paper first. But around this area, you see that there's a switch. So you're starting here and you're going out and up, but then you're going to switch directions so that your eyelashes are now going to be facing the opposite direction. Same, you can see here below where we're starting, where they grow, and going down and out towards the left, and it's going to switch around the middle of the eye, where now you're going to go in this direction. So practice that a few times before you get to the eye. But we're going to start at the top. We're going to go here. You can also make sure that your pencil is sharpened. Sharpen that pencil. And you can start with a lighter color. We're going to switch directions. Okay. Come up like this. And as we can see, there's not just going to be one row of them. You're kind of going to want to make several. You can make them in like little pairs if you want. And you can also overlap the eyeball a little bit. So you don't have to just go up like this. You could go down and up like this, whoop, where it kind of covers up the eyeball a little bit. So I started in brown. I might go over this in black again. Oh, we do want to put a little bit of pink down there. That's going to be our water line. A little bit of white. There we go. And we're going to start on the outside line, remember. Do that. And go back and forth a couple times. See, you see how that line is thicker? That's because I probably need to sharpen my pencil again. I want to make these a little bit longer. All right, I'm going to go over this with some black now. Maybe look a little bit more like mascara. I'm going to kind of follow my same lines here. I'm keeping this really loose. You want to make sure that they feel really loose and natural, or else it'll just be too stiff. You'll be able to tell. Right, I'm gonna maybe add some outlines to here, and I'm about done. You want to add just some very light shadowing over with the black. In the corners and such. But that looks pretty good. It still feels like it's missing a little something. And I think that it will really come together once we use our paint pen. You can also make this little darker near the base of the eyelashes too. To make them look a little bit more full. Look at that. Very nice. Okay. All right, if you're using a paint pen, definitely have like a tissue or a paper towel next to you, because we want to test it first. And we don't want it to be super leaky, so you can kind of get the excess off of it. Make sure that it is coming out, but we're just going to add just some little, oh my gosh, guys. That really makes it pop. And you can even do like a bigger section of it, because it's supposed to be reflective of the light in the room. So you do a few of those. I'm also going to put a couple over here. Like that. And then also maybe a couple in there. Wow. Okay, we are done. Look at that. Do a couple there. Okay. And you see how the paint pen really sits on top of the colored pencils, and it's going to be different than just using the white colored pencil. So it makes it look really shiny and wet. So there's our finished product, coloring an eye with colored pencils, and I think it turned out pretty good. So let me know how yours go. Good luck with the process, and trust the process. It's gonna take a second. This probably took me, probably close to over a half an hour. So just be patient with the process and make sure to practice on the side if you need. But good luck, and there you go.